Marriage, I used to believe, was a fortress. You build it brick by brick, trust, love, shared memories, until it feels unshakable. But sometimes the enemy isn't outside the walls. Sometimes it's already inside, sitting across from you at the dinner table, sipping coffee in the morning light, smiling as if nothing is wrong, while quietly tearing everything apart. My name is Michael Collins. I'm 38 years old and I own a small construction company here in Charleston, South Carolina. Charleston is a city where history breathes through every narrow, cobblestone street and whitewashed house. The air smells of salt from the nearby ocean, mixed with the sweet, heavy scent of jasmine. Tourists come here for the charm, the horse-drawn carriages, the pastel-colored houses, but those of us who live here know the truth. Behind these polished facades hide secrets darker than the humid summer nights. I've been married to Emily for 12 years. She runs an art gallery downtown. When we first met, she was a young assistant curator, bright, ambitious, full of dreams. Over the years, she worked her way up and now manages the entire gallery. I was always proud of her. Together, we were the couple everyone seemed to admire. The solid pair, the example of stability. Or so I thought. Because a few weeks ago, I started noticing things. Small things at first, cracks in the walls of our perfect little life. Chapter 1, Hairline Fractures. It began with her late nights at work. At first, it made sense. The gallery had a huge modern art exhibit coming up, and Emily always threw herself into these events. But soon, the excuses piled up. She switched her perfume. After years of wearing the same soft floral scent, suddenly she smelled different. Muskier. Seductive. She started dressing up for ordinary weekdays, fixing her hair with more care than usual, putting on lipstick just to grab coffee. And then there was her phone. For 12 years, it had always sat screen up on the kitchen counter or bedside table. Now, it was always face down, as if to hide something. I'm not paranoid by nature. I'm a straightforward man who believes in hard work and honesty. But when you love someone, you feel when something shifts between you, when the warmth turns cold, when laughter becomes forced. One evening, as we sat on our back porch eating dinner, I decided to bring it up. The sun was setting, painting the sky in fiery shades of red and orange. Emily sat across from me, her wineglass catching the light. I said carefully, you've seemed tense lately. Is everything okay? She smiled a little too quickly. Of course, it's fine. Just work stress. You know how it is, the exhibition, the suppliers, last-minute problems. Her voice was light, her tone casual. But her eyes wouldn't meet mine. I nodded, though unease coiled tighter in my gut. I'd dealt with liars before in business, shady contractors, dishonest clients. There was always one giveaway, too many words, too perfect a smile. Emily was lying to me. I didn't know about what yet, but I felt it in my bones. Chapter 2, The First Clue. 2 days later, on a rainy Thursday, she told me she had to stay late again. Don't wait up, she said, kissing me on the cheek before hurrying out the door. I watched her taillights disappear down our quiet street, then stood there for a long moment, my jaw tight. Something snapped inside me. I grabbed my keys, got into my truck, and drove downtown. Charleston's historic district looked haunting in the rain, the gas lanterns glowing dimly, water pooling in the uneven cobblestones. I parked near the gallery, cutting the engine and waiting. Her car wasn't there. I checked my watch. 8:15 p.m. Emily always parked right out front when she stayed late. I waited another 20 minutes, my heart beat loud in my ears. No sign of her. The gallery itself was dark. Closed. That was my first undeniable clue. When she came home later, around 10, her cheeks were flushed, her hair slightly damp. Oh, God, the rain was terrible, she said, dropping her purse on the counter. I noticed a faint trace of a different cologne clinging to her clothes, not mine. Busy night? I asked, forcing my voice to sound casual. Insanely busy, she said without hesitation. You wouldn't believe the chaos. I smiled tightly and said nothing. Inside, my world was starting to crumble. Chapter 3, The Watcher in the Dark. After that night, I couldn't sleep. Emily lay beside me, breathing evenly, her back turned. I stared at the ceiling fan spinning slowly, the rhythmic creak like a mocking metronome. Every thought in my head screamed the same word, liar. But suspicion wasn't proof. And Emily was clever, she'd never make a mistake if she knew I was watching. So, I decided to watch without her knowing. The next day, I rearranged my schedule at the construction company. I told my foreman to handle site inspections while I stayed behind to catch up on paperwork. In reality, I spent the day planning. By evening, I was parked 2 streets away from our house, far enough not to draw attention but close enough to see when Emily left. She drove off at 6:30 p.m., claiming she had a late gallery meeting. I followed. Slowly. Carefully. Instead of heading downtown toward the gallery, she turned west, toward the quieter, wealthier suburbs of Charleston. My pulse quickened. I stayed several cars behind, my lights off when I could. She finally pulled into the driveway of a modern, upscale house with tall glass windows and manicured hedges. The rain had stopped, leaving the street slick and reflective like black ice. From my vantage point, I saw her run up the steps, clutching her purse, and knock lightly on the door. The door opened almost instantly. A man stood there. Tall, broad-shouldered, wearing a dark shirt. Even from a distance, I could tell he wasn't just a friend. There was a familiarity in the way Emily smiled at him, a soft, intimate expression I hadn't seen on her face in months. She slipped inside. The door closed. And just like that, the last of my doubts shattered. Chapter 4, A Quiet Rage. I sat there for almost an hour, gripping the steering wheel so tightly my knuckles turned white. The street was quiet except for the distant chirp of crickets and the occasional passing car. I wanted to storm up to that house, kick the door down, and drag her out by the wrist. I wanted to hit the man who thought he could steal my wife. But rage without control is a fool's weapon. And I wasn't going to give them that satisfaction. When Emily finally came out, it was nearly 9. Her hair was slightly messy. Her blouse, once crisp and neat, was rumpled. She kissed the man quickly on the lips before jogging to her car. That kiss was a knife to my chest. I followed her home, making sure she never saw me. When she walked through the door, she gave me the same tired smile as always and spun another flawless lie about late-night meetings and last-minute deliveries. I played along. I even kissed her cheek. But inside, I was already plotting. Chapter 5, The Lie Unraveled. Over the next week, I gathered information. Every lie she told, every time she worked late, I followed her, always careful, always patient. Her routine was predictable, 2 or 3 times a week, she went to that same house. The man, I discovered, was named Nathan Harris. A local real estate developer. Wealthy. Single. A man who clearly had no problem sleeping with another man's wife. I checked property records, learning the house was his. I even saw him once in public, laughing with friends outside a fancy restaurant downtown. He looked like the kind of man who'd never been told no in his life. Meanwhile, Emily acted like nothing was wrong. She kissed me good morning, texted me sweet little notes during the day, laughed with me over dinner, all while betraying me behind my back. The duality of it made me sick. One evening, as she stood at the sink washing wine glasses, I studied her carefully. Her hair gleamed in the soft kitchen light. She was humming to herself, looking like the perfect southern wife. I said casually, maybe this weekend we should go out to Folly Beach. Just the two of us. It's been a while. Her hands paused for just a second, barely noticeable. Then she smiled. Oh, honey, that sounds wonderful. Let me check my schedule. Check my schedule. As if spending time with me was a business appointment. That was the moment I decided. I wasn't just going to confront her. I was going to end this on my terms. Chapter 6, The Setup. I needed evidence, undeniable proof that Emily couldn't twist or deny. And I needed it at the perfect moment, when it would hurt the most. I bought a small hidden camera online and installed it in her car while she slept. It was disguised as a USB charger. 2 nights later, it recorded exactly what I needed, Emily and Nathan kissing passionately in his driveway before disappearing inside his house. I watched the footage 3 times, my heart pounding. It felt like swallowing glass. The next step was to find the perfect opportunity. Our 12th wedding anniversary was coming up, a night Emily had been excited about for weeks. She had no idea that while she was planning romantic dinners and toasts, I was planning her destruction. Chapter 7, The Anniversary Dinner. The evening of our anniversary, I dressed in my best suit and even brought her flowers. Emily looked stunning, wearing the deep red dress I'd bought her last Christmas. You look beautiful, I said, and for once, I meant it. Even if that beauty was poison now. She blushed. Oh, stop it. You're making me nervous. We went to a high-end restaurant downtown, the kind with candlelit tables and soft piano music. She smiled across the table at me, laughing at my jokes, holding my hand. For a moment, it almost felt like old times. Almost. Halfway through dinner, I leaned forward and said, I have a surprise for you tonight. Her eyes sparkled. A surprise? What kind? You'll see, I said smoothly. Something special. Something just for us. Her smile widened. And I smiled back, though inside I was ice. Chapter 8, The Revelation. After dinner, instead of heading home, I drove us toward the suburbs. Emily frowned, confused. Where are we going, Michael? You'll see, I repeated calmly. When I turned onto Nathan Harris's street, she froze. Her hand gripped the door handle. Michael, what is this? She asked, her voice trembling. I didn't answer. I parked across the street from Nathan's house. Then I reached into my jacket and pulled out my phone. With a single tap, the video played on the screen. Emily and Nathan, kissing in the driveway. Her face went pale. She covered her mouth with her hands, a muffled sob escaping. Michael, please, she started, but I cut her off. Don't. Speak. My voice was calm, almost too calm. You lied to me. Over and over. For how long, Emily? Tears spilled down her cheeks. Months, she whispered. I never meant to hurt you. I laughed. A bitter, hollow sound. You never meant to hurt me. You destroyed everything we built. Everything. Chapter 9, The Last Act. Emily sat in the passenger seat, trembling like a trapped bird. The street was quiet, too quiet. Only the distant hum of cicadas and the occasional rustle of palm leaves filled the air. I didn't look at her. If I did, I might falter. And I couldn't falter now. Across the street, Nathan's house glowed warmly, the perfect picture of domestic comfort. The kind of life Emily had been pretending to have with me, while giving her real self to him. I took a slow breath, then finally turned to her. You know what the worst part is? I said evenly. I believed in you, Emily. I believed in us. I worked myself to the bone to give you the life you wanted. And all this time, you were just, playing me. She shook her head, sobbing. No. Michael, please, it wasn't like that. I got lost. I made mistakes. But I love you. The word love tasted like ash in my mouth. Love? You don't get to use that word anymore. I stepped out of the truck and opened her door. Get out. Her eyes widened in fear. Michael, don't do this. Out. The quiet fury in my tone made her obey. Chapter 10, Confrontation. We walked up to Nathan's house. Emily stumbled, clutching her arms around herself, while I rang the doorbell. It chimed softly, a delicate sound completely at odds with the storm raging inside me. Nathan opened the door moments later. His confident, smug expression vanished when he saw me standing there with Emily. Michael. Emily began, her voice barely a whisper. Nathan looked between us, confusion flashing across his face, then dawning realization. You must be her husband, he said carefully. His voice was calm, but I saw a flicker of unease. She told me you two were separated. I let out a sharp, humorless laugh. Separated? Oh, we're very much together. At least, we were, until I followed my wife here. Until I got this. I held up my phone, showing him the video. Nathan's jaw clenched. He opened his mouth to speak, but I cut him off with a raised hand. Save it. You've been screwing my wife, and now you're going to hear me out. Emily was crying openly now, her makeup streaking down her face. Michael, please, let's just go home. We can talk. No, I said coldly. We're doing this here. In front of him. Chapter 11, The Trap. I stepped into Nathan's living room without asking. The place reeked of money, leather couches, abstract paintings, a stocked bar in the corner. Emily had probably spent hours here, laughing, drinking, lying. I motioned for them both to sit. They obeyed, Emily trembling, Nathan tense but trying to look in control. I pulled out 2 envelopes from my jacket. Here's how this is going to go, I said. One contains divorce papers. The other contains evidence, the video, time-stamped logs, even receipts that tie the two of you together. I dropped them on the coffee table. The envelopes landed with a heavy thud. Emily's breath hitched. Nathan's face went pale. If you both sign the divorce papers tonight, I continued, my tone ice-cold, I walk away. Quietly. No public scandal. No messy lawsuits. But if you don't? I leaned forward, my eyes locking on Nathan's. Your career is finished. I'll send every piece of evidence to your investors, your clients, the press. Charleston will eat you alive. Nathan swallowed hard, but said nothing. Emily just wept silently beside him. Chapter 12, The Decision. For a long moment, the only sound in the room was Emily's ragged breathing. Then Nathan reached forward with a shaking hand and grabbed the divorce papers. I'll sign, he said flatly. I'm not losing everything over this. Emily turned to him, shocked. Nathan. You promised. Grow up, Emily, Nathan snapped, his mask finally cracking. You were fun, but you're not worth my career. The look on her face was pure devastation. And for the first time in weeks, I almost felt pity. Almost. She turned to me, desperation in her eyes. Michael, please. I love you. I made a mistake, but we can fix this. I stared at her, my face unreadable. No, Emily. You made a choice. And now you get to live with it. Chapter 13, The Final Cut. Nathan signed. Emily signed, her hand shaking so badly the signature was barely legible. When it was done, I gathered the papers, slid them back into my jacket, and stood. I didn't look at either of them as I walked to the door. Michael. Emily cried, stumbling after me. She grabbed my arm, clinging to me like a drowning woman. Please don't leave me. I'll do anything. I turned slowly, my voice calm and final. You already did everything, Emily. And now there's nothing left. I pried her fingers off me and walked out into the warm Charleston night. Chapter 14, Silence. I didn't go home that night. Instead, I drove to the beach, parked, and sat in the sand until the first light of dawn touched the horizon. The ocean roared endlessly, the waves crashing like a heartbeat that wasn't mine anymore. For the first time in weeks, there was no rage. No tears. Just silence. I'd lost my wife, my marriage, the life I thought I had, but I'd kept my dignity. Emily and Nathan would have to live with the mess they'd made. As for me, I would rebuild. Brick by brick. And this time, the walls would be higher. Stronger. Untouchable. Epilogue. 2 months later, my divorce was finalized. Emily moved out of Charleston, unable to face the whispers and stares. Nathan's business suffered a quiet but steady decline. I never needed to send the evidence. Just the threat had been enough. As for me, I bought a small fixer-upper by the water and started over. Some wounds never fully heal, but they make you sharper, wiser. Sometimes, at night, I stand on the porch and watch the tide roll in, remembering the man I used to be, and the man I am now. And in that quiet, I finally understand. The only thing more dangerous than betrayal is silence.